Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm back here, Ian McCollum, and I'm here today in Romania at MP Armory, courtesy of ANCA, the Romanian National Association of Firearms Collectors, and we are taking a look at a Model 92, essentially Cugir sporterized commercial Mauser. Now, the later version of this would be called the Dragana, which is a way cooler sounding name than the Model of 92 sporterized Mauser. But essentially what we're looking at here is one of Cugir's very early post-communist attempts to come up with a commercial product. So Cugir was the Romanian state-run, essentially military manufacturing facility. They made hundreds of thousands of AK pattern rifles for the Romanian military as well as for export. And they did, during the communist era, they did make some commercial shotguns for sporting use, but they didn't make any commercial rifles. Well, communism in Romania collapses in December of 1989. Cugir essentially is kind of left adrift. There aren't going to be any more major military orders for Romania, but they need to do something. They're trying to employ people. And so they come up with these guys to sell to hunters. And essentially what had been happening is that Cugir was responsible for overhauling the weapons of the Patriotic Guards, essentially the Romanian version of the National Guard. And those guys, even by 1990, still had some old World War II weapons in inventory. In particular, they had VZ-24 Mausers, Czech Mausers, as well as ZB-26 light machine guns, MG34 machine guns, and various other things. And Cugir was responsible for maintaining and overhauling these, so they had some of them, they had parts. They look at those parts and go, aha, we can turn these parts into a commercial product that we can sell. Before we go in for a close look, let me just show you the whole thing here. This was a presentation gun given to the Romanian Prime Minister in 2006. So he got the fancy velvet-lined case, the checkering, the double set triggers, which we'll check out in a moment, and a little presentation plaque. So this translates as given to Mr., and I'm not even going to try and pronounce this name, Prime Minister of Romania on the occasion of his birthday, with respect and appreciation. Minister signed, the Minister of National Defense, another name I'm not going to try to pronounce, on January 6th, 2006. So fundamentally, this is a VZ-24 Mauser because the bolts, the actions were all available surplus VZ-24 Mausers. You know, you go back into the Cugir factory storage areas. What do we have that we can work with? Well, we have these Mauser rifles from the Patriotic Guards. The barrels, however, are not. One of the cool things that came with this rifle is essentially the technical manual for it, which includes a bunch of handwritten information, including this, which explains that there are two variations of these rifles in 8mm. Variant A used reclaimed barrels from Czech-made Model 24 Mausers. Variant B used reclaimed barrels from MG34 machine guns. And the serial number on this one, TB, indicates that it was made with an MG34 barrel. We then also have the serial number, just 48, and the date of production, 1994. They only made 500 of these guns in 8mm Mauser, and then they switched over to 30-06 using new manufacturer barrels. So they didn't have a huge supply of available barrels, but they did use them up before moving on to 06. So you can actually kind of see the remains of the MG34 barrel shank there that was turned down to fit a Mauser action. We do also have iron sights on the gun. It's a two-leaf sight there, 100-meter and 200-meter. If you want to use the 200, there we go. Flip that up. The front sight was custom made, and you can see it's an add-on piece that was sleeved over the barrel there. A little bit of anti-glare checkering. Cugir made a 4-power telescopic sight for the rifles as well, mounted with a very German style of claw mount. This is easily detachable. We just pull this back and the scope lifts up and off the rifle. Note that the scope is number matched to the rifle, TB0048-94 right there. And this uses a very simple German post style of reticle. With the scope off, you can get a little bit better view of the mounting points right there and right there. The trigger guard assembly and magazine floor plate have also been serialized right there. And the bent bolt with checkering on the bottom to give you some nice grip, that was standard. The double set triggers were not standard, however. And to be honest, the triggers on these are not very good. So the rear one is the set trigger. You pull that first and it's really heavy. Then you have the front trigger to actually fire the rifle. And that front trigger is really quite a long length of pull to get to for the finger. And normally with a double set trigger, you basically breathe on the front trigger and it will fire. On this, we actually have, I mean, it's a really good trigger by itself, but there's a lot more take up to it than you would normally get in a double set trigger. And I think this reflects the fact that in 1994, Cugir was not a very healthy enterprise. They were struggling to adapt to the new environment, the new commercial environment, lack of major military contracts, and the quality here is really kind of a bit iffy. You can see that the checkering leaves a little bit to be desired there. Frankly, I rather like the style of the inletting here, the decoration, but the workmanship is not as good as it could be. And it's important to recognize that this is the deluxe end gun that they gave to the then acting, well not acting, but the then in office Prime Minister of the country. So consider what the standard production version would have been for the regular consumer, probably a bit below this one. Production, of course, began in 1992, as evidenced by the Model 92 name, and ended in 1996. All of the guns were made in this 4-year period. They weren't made to order. And then they remained in inventory at Cugir for quite some time. And this particular one was gifted to the Romanian Prime Minister in 2006. So you can kind of see how long some of these guns are staying in inventory, that they still had this one available to give away 10 years after they finished the last of the production. We don't know total production numbers. Of course, like I said, it was 500 in 8mm and at most a couple thousand in 30-06. So they were purchased by Romanian hunters. Since then, they've become interesting to Romanian collectors because they are domestic manufactured Cugir guns. They're now no longer a failed commercial attempt. Now they're a cool historical piece of Romanian firearms history. So a big thanks to MP Armory and to ANCA, the Romanian Collectors Association, for making this video possible. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.